Conquer Your Fears. A Journey to Courage, Confidence, and Freedom. Table of Content. The Fear You Don't See. Chapter 1, The Nature of Fear. Chapter 2, The Neuroscience of Fear. Chapter 3, Fear versus Anxiety. Chapter 4, Awareness is Power. Chapter 5, The Stories We Tell Ourselves. Chapter 6, The Courage Mindset. Chapter 7, Breathing Through Fear. Chapter 8, Exposure and Small Steps. Chapter 9, Rewiring the Brain. Chapter 10, Building Your Courage Network. Chapter 11, Resilience, Bouncing Back from Setbacks. Chapter 12, Daily Practices for a Fearless Life. Chapter 13, The Journey Continues. Epilogue, The Lifelong Journey of Courage. The Fear You Don't See. You think you know fear. You feel it when your heart races before a presentation, when your palms sweat before a confrontation, when you hesitate at the edge of a life-changing decision. But what if I told you that the fear that truly controls your life isn't always obvious? That most of what holds you back doesn't announce itself with a pounding heart or trembling hands. It whispers in subtler ways, shaping your thoughts, choices, and even your identity without your notice. The fear that keeps you stuck is not the fear you see. It's the fear you ignore, rationalize, or pretend doesn't exist. It lives in the stories you tell yourself about who you are and what you deserve. The invisible boundaries you accept as reality. The safe choices you make to avoid discomfort, humiliation, or failure. This fear is clever. It masquerades as logic, caution, or practicality. It hides in habits, routines, and patterns that seem harmless, but slowly shrink your world, erode your potential, and quietly steal your confidence. Ask yourself, how many times have I avoided an opportunity because I felt not ready? How many ideas, goals, or dreams have I abandoned quietly, blaming circumstances instead of fear? How often do I let fear decide what is possible for me before I even try? This book is a confrontation. It will challenge your comfort, expose the subtle fears you may have ignored, and push you to take responsibility for the way fear shows up in your life. The journey ahead is not easy. It demands awareness, honesty, and action. You will need to question your beliefs, face discomfort, and take steps that feel unnatural, even impossible at first. But here is the truth: fear is not your enemy. Fear is a signal, a guide, and a test of courage. Those who master fear do not live without it, they learn to act despite it. They transform fear from a hidden prison into a compass for growth. So ask yourself, are you willing to see the fear that lurks beneath your daily life? Are you ready to face it, step by step, and reclaim the ground it has quietly taken? If the answer is yes, turn the page. Your courage journey begins now. Chapter 1, The Nature of Fear. Fear. It is a four-letter word that has shaped civilizations, controlled destinies, and changed the course of history. It's the quiet whisper that stops you from raising your hand in class, the pounding heartbeat that keeps you from telling someone you love them, and the invisible wall that prevents you from pursuing a dream. Fear is both deeply personal and universally human. We all carry fears. Some are small and fleeting, like the nervousness before a phone call. Others feel immense, like the terror of failure or abandonment. What matters most is not whether we feel fear, it's inevitable, but how we respond to it. Do we let it rule our lives, or do we learn to face it and move through it? To conquer your fears, you must first understand what fear really is, where it comes from, how it works, and why it shows up even when no real danger is present. Fear as a survival tool. Let's begin with an important truth: fear is not your enemy. Fear is your protector. Imagine our ancestors tens of thousands of years ago. They lived in a world full of danger: predators lurking in the shadows, poisonous plants, rival tribes, harsh climates. For them, fear was not a nuisance, it was essential. The rush of fear heightened their senses, quickened their reflexes, and mobilized their bodies to act in an instant. When a rustle in the bushes could mean a predator, Ignoring fear could cost you your life. Those who lacked fear often didn't survive long enough to pass on their genes. Fear, therefore, is part of our evolutionary inheritance, a survival mechanism carefully shaped over millennia. Today, the world is different. Most of us aren't running from lions or hiding from raiders. Yet the same fear system is still active inside us. When you're about to give a presentation and your heart starts racing, your body is reacting as if your survival is on the line. Fear doesn't know the difference between a charging tiger and an audience of colleagues. It treats both as threats. Real fear versus imagined fear. To master fear, it's crucial to distinguish between real fear and imagined fear. Real fear is protective. It arises when there is an immediate, tangible threat to your safety. If you nearly step into traffic and a car honks, your body jolts into action. That fear is useful, it keeps you alive. Imagined fear, however, arises when your brain creates a threat where none truly exists. Speaking in public, asking for a raise, starting a business, none of these situations threaten your physical survival, yet your body reacts with the same racing pulse, sweaty palms, and tight chest. Think of it this way: your brain is like a smoke alarm. It's designed to alert you to danger. But sometimes the alarm goes off when you burn toast. There is no fire, yet the alarm blares anyway. That's how imagined fear works: loud, convincing, and often unnecessary. The illusion of fear. Here's the paradox: most of the fears that dominate our lives are not about survival. They're about perception. We fear being judged. We fear being rejected. We fear not being enough. We fear the unknown. These fears rarely put us in real danger. Yet they hold us hostage. A person who fears rejection may avoid relationships altogether. A person who fears failure may never attempt their dream career. A person who fears public speaking may never share their ideas, no matter how valuable. Fear builds invisible walls. It shrinks our world. We tell ourselves, "I can't do that," or "that's not for me," when the truth is we could, but fear convinces us otherwise. The cost of living in fear. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. What has fear already cost you? Was there a time you stayed silent when you had something important to say? Did you pass on an opportunity because you didn't feel ready? Have you ever chosen the safe path, even when your heart wanted something more? These moments may seem small in isolation, but over a lifetime they add up. Fear can rob us of potential, relationships, success, and fulfillment. It steals not only opportunities, but also the peace of mind that comes from living authentically. One of the most dangerous things about fear is how subtle it can be. Sometimes it doesn't look like fear. It looks like procrastination, indecision, or perfectionism. "I'm not ready yet," you say. But beneath that excuse is often a fear of failing or being judged. If left unchecked, fear becomes the silent author of your life story. It decides where you go, what you attempt, and what you never even try. A story: Sarah and the job interview. Sarah was a bright, ambitious young woman who dreamed of working in marketing. She had all the qualifications, but every time she was invited to an interview, fear consumed her. "What if I say the wrong thing?" she thought. "What if they think I'm not good enough?" Her heart would race, her palms would sweat, and she would either decline the interview or show up so nervous she stumbled over her words. After several failed attempts, she convinced herself that maybe she wasn't cut out for her dream career. In reality, Sarah's fear wasn't protecting her from danger. It was protecting her from discomfort. Her body treated the interview like a life-or-death situation. But the worst-case scenario was not death, it was rejection. And rejection is survivable. When Sarah finally learned to separate real fear from imagined fear, everything changed. She realized that discomfort was not danger. Courage meant stepping forward anyway, even with her heart racing. Within months, she landed her dream job. Reflection exercise: mapping your fears. Grab a notebook or journal. On a blank page, draw 2 columns. In the left column, list fears you felt in the past week or month, big or small. Examples: speaking up in a meeting, saying no to someone, trying something new. In the right column, label each fear as either real danger or imagined danger. Be honest with yourself. How many of your fears were truly about survival? How many were about rejection, embarrassment, or uncertainty? You may notice a pattern. Most of your fears are imagined. Recognizing this is powerful. When you shine light on fear, it loses much of its strength. Reflection exercise: the cost of fear. On a new page, answer the following questions. What is one opportunity I missed in the past because of fear? How might my life look different today if I had taken that chance? If I continue letting fear control me, what will it cost me over the next 5 years? Take your time with this exercise. Let the answers sink in. Awareness of the cost of fear is the first step toward reclaiming your life from it. Key takeaways from Chapter 1. Fear is a natural survival mechanism. It is not your enemy. Most fears in modern life are imagined, not real threats. Fear often disguises itself as procrastination, indecision, or perfectionism. Living in fear carries a heavy cost, stealing opportunities and joy. Awareness is the first step. When you name your fears, you begin to disarm them. In the next chapter, we'll dive into the neuroscience of fear, exploring how your brain and body create the fear response, and how understanding this process gives you tools to take back control. Chapter 2. The neuroscience of fear. Fear may feel mysterious, like a fog that descends suddenly and without warning, but at its core, fear is science. It is a series of electrical and chemical reactions in your body, triggered by your brain's interpretation of events. When you understand what is happening inside your brain and body, fear becomes less intimidating. Instead of feeling like an uncontrollable monster, it becomes a system you can observe, anticipate, and eventually manage. Knowledge gives you power. The fear center, your amygdala. At the heart of fear lies a tiny almond-shaped structure in your brain called the amygdala. Think of it as your brain's security alarm system. The amygdala's job is to scan for threats, process danger, and trigger a rapid response. Here's how it works. You see or hear something unusual, for example, a shadow moving in the corner of your eye. Your amygdala instantly evaluates it. Is this dangerous? If it perceives danger, even before you consciously process what you saw, it activates your body's fight, flight, or freeze response. This is why fear feels so automatic. You don't choose to feel your heart race. It happens because your amygdala is pulling the alarm. The amygdala is fast, but it isn't always accurate. It would rather trigger a false alarm than miss a real threat. That's why you might jump when you mistake a rope for a snake. The role of the prefrontal cortex. Fortunately, you have another powerful brain region working alongside the amygdala, the prefrontal cortex, located at the front of your brain. While the amygdala acts on instinct, the prefrontal cortex is the rational thinker. It can step in and say, "Wait a minute, this isn't a snake, it's just a rope." The problem is, the prefrontal cortex is slower than the amygdala. That's why fear reactions often happen before logic catches up. The good news? You can train your prefrontal cortex to step in more effectively through practices like mindfulness, breathing exercises, and reframing. The body on fear: fight, flight, or freeze. When the amygdala senses danger, it signals your body to prepare for action. This is known as the fight, flight, or freeze response. Fight: your body prepares to confront the threat. Muscles tense, jaw clenches, fists may tighten. Flight: your body prepares to escape. Heart rate and breathing speed up to fuel rapid movement. Freeze: your body shuts down, hoping to avoid detection. You may feel paralyzed, unable to move or speak. All of this is powered by stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, which flood your system in seconds. These chemicals sharpen your senses, increase blood flow to your muscles, and suppress non-essential functions like digestion. Again, this is useful if you're facing a real threat. But in modern life, many people experience this same cascade of reactions while sitting in a chair before a meeting, simply because they're about to speak. Why avoidance strengthens fear. Here's something critical. When you avoid what you fear, your brain learns the wrong lesson. Imagine you're afraid of dogs. One day you see a dog walking down the street. Your heart races, your palms sweat, and instead of continuing forward, you cross the street to avoid the dog. Immediately, you feel relief. Your brain interprets this relief as proof that avoidance worked. The amygdala reinforces the idea: dogs are dangerous. Avoidance keeps me safe. The next time you see a dog, your fear is even stronger. This is how fear grows. Avoidance rewards the amygdala and trains it to perceive harmless situations as dangerous. Over time, your world becomes smaller and smaller, because fear controls what you do. The antidote? Facing fears in manageable doses. Each time you confront what you fear and nothing bad happens, your brain learns a new lesson. I am safe. I can handle this. This process rewires your fear circuits. A story: Mark and public speaking. Mark was a talented software engineer who dreaded public speaking. Every time he was asked to present, his amygdala went into overdrive. His heart raced, his throat tightened, and he often froze mid-sentence. To cope, Mark avoided speaking opportunities whenever possible. He told himself he was too busy or better off behind the scenes. But deep down, he knew fear was running the show. One day, Mark decided to approach his fear differently. Instead of avoiding, he started small. He practiced speaking in front of his bathroom mirror. Then he presented to his wife. Later, he spoke in small team meetings. Each time he survived. Gradually, his prefrontal cortex learned to override the amygdala. He still felt nerves, but they no longer controlled him. Months later, he delivered a keynote speech to his entire company, something that once felt impossible. Mark's story illustrates a profound truth. Avoidance feeds fear, but gentle exposure starves it. Reflection exercise: your fear triggers. Think of a recent moment when you felt fear. Write down what happened. What was your body's response? Racing heart, sweating, shallow breath, etc. Did you fight, flee, or freeze? How did you respond? Did you avoid, or did you face it? By identifying your patterns, you start to see how fear operates in your life. Awareness gives you the choice to respond differently next time. Reflection exercise: naming your alarm system. Think of your amygdala as your brain's smoke alarm. Like any alarm, it's useful but sometimes overly sensitive. Give your amygdala a playful name, for example, anxious Annie or nervous Ned. Next time you feel fear rising, instead of panicking, you can say, "Thanks for the warning, Ned, but I've got this." This small shift reduces fear's power and reminds you that you, not your amygdala, are in charge. Key takeaways from Chapter 2. The amygdala is your brain's fear center. It triggers fight, flight, or freeze. The prefrontal cortex is your rational thinker. It can calm the amygdala, but it takes practice. Avoidance strengthens fear, facing fears weakens them. Understanding your brain's fear response allows you to separate false alarms from real threats. In the next chapter, we'll explore the difference between fear and anxiety, two close cousins that often get confused. You'll learn how to spot the signs of each, and why clarity matters when you're working to overcome them. Chapter 3: Fear versus Anxiety. Fear and anxiety often walk hand in hand, so closely that many people use the words interchangeably. But while they are related, they are not the same. Understanding the difference matters, because the way you respond to fear isn't always the same way you respond to anxiety. Think of fear as a fire alarm, and anxiety as the lingering smoke. Both are uncomfortable, both grab your attention, but they show up differently and require different tools to manage. Fear, the response to immediate threat. Fear is your body's response to a clear and present danger. It's sharp, fast, and specific. If you're crossing the street and a car swerves toward you, fear hits instantly. Your body pumps adrenaline, your heart pounds, and you leap out of the way. In that moment, fear saves your life. The key characteristics of fear: triggered by something specific and external. Happens in the present moment. Typically fades once the threat is gone. Anxiety, the anticipation of threat. Anxiety, on the other hand, is fear projected into the future. It's what you feel when your mind starts asking, what if? What if I fail the test? What if they laugh at me? What if I lose my job? Unlike fear, which is tied to something happening right now, anxiety often arises from imagined scenarios. It is less about survival and more about uncertainty, anticipation, and the need for control. The key characteristics of anxiety: triggered by thoughts, not immediate threats. Focused on the future or what might happen. Can linger for hours, days, or even weeks. How fear and anxiety work together. Although distinct, fear and anxiety feed off each other. For example, you have a big presentation coming up next week. Anxiety sets in days before. What if I mess up? On the day of the presentation, your anxiety has primed your body. By the time you step on stage, your amygdala interprets the situation as immediate danger, and fear takes over. Your heart races, your voice shakes, your palms sweat. In this way, anxiety can train your brain to expect fear, making the actual experience even more intense. The body's signals. Both fear and anxiety activate the body's stress response, which can make them hard to distinguish. Here's a quick comparison. When you can identify whether you're feeling fear or anxiety, you gain clarity. Fear may call for immediate action. Anxiety may call for slowing down, reframing your thoughts, and grounding yourself. Story: Elena and the What Ifs. Elena was a nurse who loved her work but dreaded speaking up during staff meetings. She often lay awake the night before, her mind filled with anxious thoughts. What if I say something stupid? What if they think I'm not competent? What if my voice shakes? Her anxiety would spiral until the meeting arrived, at which point she felt paralyzed with fear. The funny thing: when she actually did speak, people usually agreed with her or thanked her for her input. The threat existed only in her imagination. When Elena learned to label her experience correctly, this is anxiety, not actual danger, she started practicing grounding techniques the night before meetings. Instead of trying to silence her anxiety, she worked with it, breathing through the sensations and reminding herself, the worst-case scenario is embarrassment, not disaster. Her perspective shifted, and her confidence grew. Reflection exercise: spotting fear versus anxiety. Take out your journal and reflect on a recent situation that felt uncomfortable. Ask yourself, was there an immediate, actual threat? Or was I worrying about what might happen? Did my discomfort fade once the situation ended, or did it linger? Was my body reacting to the present moment, or to my thoughts about the future? Write your answers and then label the experience, fear or anxiety. Reflection exercise: taming the what ifs. Anxiety thrives on the phrase, what if? Step 1: write down 3 what if thoughts you've had recently. Step 2: for each one, write 2 new endings. A realistic one: what if I mess up? Write pointing arrow, I'll recover, and keep going. A positive one: what if I succeed? Write pointing arrow, I'll feel proud and grow. This reframing reminds your brain that what if does not always mean disaster, it can also mean opportunity. Why this distinction matters. When you confuse anxiety for fear, you may respond in unhelpful ways. You may avoid situations that are not dangerous. You may let imagined scenarios dictate your choices. But when you learn to tell the difference, you begin to choose your response instead of reacting automatically. Fear says act now. Anxiety says prepare, but don't over-prepare. Courage says move forward anyway. Key takeaways from Chapter 3. Fear is a response to immediate, real danger. Anxiety is the anticipation of possible danger, often imagined. Anxiety can amplify fear by priming the brain for a false alarm. Recognizing the difference allows you to apply the right tools for each. Courage doesn't mean eliminating fear or anxiety, it means acting despite them. In the next chapter, we'll shift from understanding fear to becoming aware of it in your daily life. You'll learn practical tools for spotting when fear shows up, so you can stop it from controlling you before it takes root. Chapter 4: Awareness is Power. You cannot conquer what you cannot see. Fear often works in the shadows, shaping your choices without you realizing it. It whispers excuses, disguises itself as logic, and convinces you that avoidance is the safe option. The first step toward freedom is awareness. By shining light on fear, naming it, observing it, and acknowledging its presence, you weaken its hold. Awareness transforms fear from a hidden puppeteer into a visible character in your story. And once you see it, you can choose how to respond. The subtle ways fear hides. Fear doesn't always show up as terror or panic. More often, it hides behind everyday behaviors. Procrastination, putting things off because you're afraid of failing, being judged, or facing discomfort. Perfectionism, polishing endlessly, not because it must be perfect, but because fear says if it's not flawless, you'll be rejected. Busyness, filling your schedule with distractions so you never have to face the thing that truly scares you. Excuses, saying, I don't have time, or I'm not ready, when what you really mean is, I'm afraid. These patterns are fear in disguise. Awareness helps you recognize them for what they are. The power of naming your fear. When you name your fear, you take away its invisibility. Instead of letting it control you silently, you say out loud, this is fear. I see you. Psychologists call this labeling. Studies show that when people put words to their emotions, activity in the amygdala decreases. In other words, naming fear calms fear. For example, if you feel nervous before a big meeting, saying to yourself, I'm feeling fear of judgment right now, creates space between you and the emotion. Instead of being afraid, you are observing fear. That difference matters. Story: Daniel and the Deadline. Daniel was a talented writer who dreamed of publishing a book. But whenever he set a deadline, he found ways to delay. He told himself he was waiting for inspiration or researching more. In reality, Daniel was afraid of finishing. Because finishing meant sharing his work with the world. And what if people didn't like it? Once he became aware of this pattern, everything shifted. He wrote in his journal, My procrastination isn't laziness. It's fear of rejection. Naming it helped him confront the truth. From there, he could decide whether to let fear win or to write anyway. The awareness practice. Here's a simple framework you can use to build awareness of fear in your daily life. Pause. When you notice resistance, procrastination, or self-doubt, stop and breathe. Ask, what am I really feeling right now? Is this fear in disguise? Name. Give the fear a label. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. Note the impact. How is this fear shaping my decision or behavior right now? By practicing this regularly, you begin to see fear not as an invisible force, but as a pattern you can recognize and work with. Reflection exercise: a fear journal. Start keeping a fear journal for at least 1 week. Each time you notice fear or resistance, jot down the situation, what was happening. The feeling in your body, what physical sensations did you notice? The thought in your mind, what story was fear telling you? The action you took, did you avoid, delay, or push through? At the end of the week, review your notes. What patterns do you see? Which fears show up most often? Awareness of these patterns is the first step toward change. Reflection exercise: giving fear a face. Close your eyes and imagine your fear as a character. What does it look like? How does it talk to you? Is it a loud bully, a worried parent, or a shadowy figure. Now imagine talking back to this character. What would you say? For example, "Thank you for trying to protect me, but I don't need you right now. I hear you, but I'm moving forward anyway." When fear becomes a character outside of you, it loses some of its power. You can engage with it, rather than be consumed by it. The link between awareness and courage. Awareness doesn't eliminate fear. It transforms your relationship with it. Instead of being unconsciously controlled, you are consciously choosing. Without awareness, fear makes decisions for you. With awareness, you can decide whether to follow fear or face it. Courage is not about silencing fear. It's about noticing fear and moving forward anyway. Key takeaways from Chapter 4. Fear often hides behind procrastination, perfectionism, and excuses. Naming your fear reduces its power and activates your rational brain. Awareness begins with noticing your thoughts, body sensations, and behaviors. Keeping a fear journal reveals patterns that keep you stuck. Awareness is the foundation of courage, because you cannot change what you refuse to see. In the next chapter, we'll dig deeper into the stories you tell yourself, the hidden beliefs that fuel fear. You'll learn how to uncover and challenge those stories, and how to replace them with narratives that empower you instead of limit you. Chapter 5: The Stories We Tell Ourselves. Fear is rarely just about the present moment. Often, it's fueled by the stories we tell ourselves, narratives that shape how we see the world, our abilities, and our potential. These stories can be so subtle that we don't even realize they exist. Yet they influence almost every decision we make. If you want to conquer fear, you must start by uncovering these stories. Once you see them, you can challenge them, rewrite them, and replace them with narratives that empower rather than limit you. How stories shape fear. From childhood, we begin to interpret the world through stories. I'm not good at public speaking. I always fail when I try something new. If I ask for help, people will judge me. These stories often start as small observations, but solidify into beliefs. Over time, the brain treats them as fact. Every time a story is triggered, the amygdala responds with fear, even if the original context is gone. For example, someone who failed at an early job interview may carry the story, "I'm not competent," into years of their career. Each new challenge triggers fear, even if the circumstances are entirely different. Limiting beliefs versus empowering beliefs. Stories can either limit or empower you. Limiting beliefs are the ones that strengthen fear. I'm not ready. I'll embarrass myself. I can't do it. Empowering beliefs are the ones that weaken fear and encourage action. I am learning as I go. Mistakes are opportunities, not failures. I am capable of handling challenges. The difference is subtle but profound. Changing the story doesn't make fear disappear immediately, but it changes your response to fear. You can still feel nervous, but instead of freezing or avoiding, you can move forward. Story: Priya and the Fear of Failure. Priya, a graphic designer, had always dreamed of starting her own studio. Every time she imagined taking the leap, fear would grip her. The story in her mind was loud and convincing. If I leave my job, I'll fail. Everyone will see I'm a fraud. I'm not good enough. This story kept her stuck for years. One day, Priya decided to write the story down and examine it. She asked herself, "Is this story based on fact or assumption? What evidence do I have that contradicts this story? How would I advise a friend who felt this way?" Through reflection, Priya realized the story was exaggerated. She had skills, experience, and resilience. She rewrote her narrative. Starting a studio is challenging, but I have what it takes to succeed. I can learn along the way, and mistakes are part of growth. With this new story, her fear didn't vanish, but it became manageable. She took the first step, and each step afterward reinforced the new empowering narrative. How to identify your fear stories. To uncover your stories, pay attention to recurring thoughts, internal dialogue, and emotional reactions. Ask yourself, what do I tell myself when I feel afraid? What assumptions am I making about myself or others? Which truths have I accepted without questioning? Writing these down is crucial. Awareness is the first step to transformation. Reflection exercise, mapping your fear stories. Grab a journal and write down one fear you currently face. Ask, what story am I telling myself about this fear? Write it as a full sentence. Example, I'm not capable of speaking in front of an audience. Examine the story critically. Is it based on fact or assumption? What evidence contradicts it? What would I say to a friend who believed this story? Rewriting your stories. Once you identify limiting stories, replace them with empowering alternatives. Use the following approach. Acknowledge the old story. Don't ignore it. Writing it down helps you see it clearly. Challenge the story. Look for evidence that disproves it. Create a new story. Make it specific, positive, and actionable. Reinforce the new story. Repeat it in writing, out loud, and through action. For example, reflection exercise, daily story check-in. For 1 week each morning or evening, write down one fear or challenge you faced that day. The story you told yourself about it. A reframed, empowering story. One action you can take tomorrow that aligns with the new story. This practice rewires your mind, strengthens courage, and reduces fear over time. Key takeaways from Chapter 5. Fear is often fueled by stories and beliefs, not objective reality. Limiting beliefs amplify fear and keep you stuck. Empowering beliefs reduce fear and encourage action. Writing down and examining your fear stories creates awareness and choice. Rewriting your stories is a practical tool for courage and transformation. In the next chapter, we'll explore tools for managing fear in the body, starting with techniques like breathing, grounding, and mindfulness. This will give you tangible practices to calm your nervous system and face fear with clarity. Chapter 6: The Courage Mindset. Fear will always be part of life. You cannot eliminate it completely, nor would you want to. Fear keeps you alert, helps you survive, and can even guide you toward growth. The question is not how to remove fear, but how to approach it with courage. Developing a courage mindset is about shifting your relationship with fear. It's about seeing fear as a signal rather than a stop sign, and understanding that courage is not the absence of fear, but action in its presence. Courage is a muscle. Think of courage like a muscle. You aren't born with a fixed amount. It grows each time you face fear, take action despite anxiety, or challenge limiting beliefs. The first time you speak up in a meeting, your courage muscle is small. Each subsequent attempt strengthens it. Over time, situations that once paralyzed you now feel manageable. The key is consistency. Courage grows not from one heroic act, but from repeated small steps. Shifting your mindset about fear. Many people treat fear as the enemy, telling themselves, I shouldn't feel afraid. Fear is weakness. These messages make fear worse. The courage mindset teaches a different approach. Acknowledge fear. I feel nervous, and that's okay. Understand fear's purpose. It's a signal that something matters. Move forward anyway. Action doesn't require the absence of fear. When you accept fear instead of fighting it, you reduce resistance and free mental energy for action. Story: Luis and the promotion. Luis was an experienced project manager who dreamed of stepping into a leadership role. Every time a promotion opportunity arose, fear held him back. What if I'm not ready? What if I fail and embarrass myself in front of the team? Instead of ignoring the fear, Luis acknowledged it. He told himself, I'm afraid, but that doesn't mean I can't try. Luis prepared carefully, practiced conversations, and reminded himself of past successes. When the promotion became available again, he applied. He didn't feel fearless, but he acted anyway, and ultimately got the position. Luis's courage wasn't the absence of fear, it was fear plus action. Practical tools for cultivating courage. 1. Daily affirmations. Affirmations are short statements that reinforce empowering beliefs. For example, I am capable of facing challenges. Fear is a guide, not a barrier. I grow stronger each time I act despite fear. Repeat these aloud each morning to prime your mind for courage. 2. Micro-action steps. Big fears can feel overwhelming. Break them into smaller, manageable steps. If you fear public speaking, start by speaking in front of a mirror, then a small group, then a larger audience. If you fear confrontation, start with a low-stakes conversation, then gradually address bigger challenges. Each small step reinforces courage and rewires your brain to associate fear with action rather than avoidance. 3. Reframing fear. Instead of asking, "Why am I afraid?" try, "What is fear telling me about what matters?" Fear often signals that something is important, your goals, values, or growth opportunities. By reframing fear as a signal, you shift from avoidance to curiosity and action. 4. Visualization. Visualizing success prepares both mind and body. Close your eyes and imagine yourself facing a fear. Picture the scenario in vivid detail. Imagine yourself responding with calm, confidence, and courage. Replay this mental rehearsal several times until it feels natural. Visualization primes your nervous system and increases confidence when facing the real situation. Reflection exercise, courage log. Start a courage log in your journal. Each day write down one moment when you felt fear, how you responded, what small action you took despite fear, how it felt afterward. Over time, this log will become a record of your growing courage muscle. You'll notice patterns, improvements, and the tangible evidence that you can face fear and succeed. Story: Naomi and cold water swimming. Naomi had always been terrified of cold water. The idea of swimming in a lake during winter made her chest tighten and hands sweat. One day, she decided to challenge herself. She started small, just dipping her feet, then wading in chest-deep water. Each day she increased exposure, breathing deeply and reminding herself, "I am safe. I am capable." After several weeks, Naomi swam fully in the cold water. She didn't feel fear-free, but her courage had grown. She learned that courage is less about eliminating fear and more about moving forward with it. Key takeaways from Chapter 6. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is action in its presence. Treat fear as a signal rather than a stop sign. Small, consistent steps strengthen your courage over time. Tools like affirmations, micro-actions, reframing, and visualization accelerate your growth. Keeping a courage log reinforces progress and builds confidence. In the next chapter, we'll explore practical techniques for calming the body and mind when fear strikes, including breathing exercises, grounding, and mindfulness practices. These tools give you immediate control over fear's physical symptoms, allowing you to act with clarity. Chapter 7: Breathing Through Fear. Fear doesn't live only in the mind, it lives in the body. When your amygdala senses danger, your body responds with a flood of adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart races, your breathing becomes shallow, your muscles tense, and your mind fixates on worst-case scenarios. If left unchecked, these physical reactions can feel overwhelming and make fear seem unstoppable. The good news is that the body is also your most powerful tool for managing fear. By regulating your nervous system, you can calm fear, think clearly, and act with confidence. Understanding the body-fear connection. When fear hits, your nervous system switches into sympathetic mode, also known as the fight, flight, or freeze response. Heart rate increases. Breathing becomes rapid and shallow. Muscles tense. Digestion slows. Thoughts become narrow and urgent. This response is useful in genuine danger, but in everyday fears, like giving a presentation or confronting someone, it can feel like your body is betraying you. The solution? Engage your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode. This calms your body, slows your heart, and signals to your brain that you are safe. Breathing techniques to calm fear. Breathing is the simplest and most effective way to activate your parasympathetic system. Here are some practical techniques. 1. Box breathing. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts. Exhale for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts. Repeat 5 to 10 times. This technique slows the heart rate, relaxes muscles, and centers your mind. Many Navy SEALs and high-stress professionals use it to stay calm under pressure. 2. Diaphragmatic breathing. Place one hand on your chest, the other on your belly. Inhale deeply through your nose, expanding your belly, not your chest. Exhale slowly through your mouth. Repeat 5 to 10 breaths. Diaphragmatic breathing reduces tension and increases oxygen flow, making it easier to think clearly in fear-inducing situations. 3. 4-7-8 breathing. Inhale through your nose for 4 counts. Hold for 7 counts. Exhale slowly through your mouth for 8 counts. Repeat for several minutes. This method helps to regulate stress hormones and induce calm quickly, even in high-pressure moments. Grounding techniques. Breathing is powerful, but sometimes fear overwhelms your mind before breathing alone can help. Grounding techniques anchor you in the present moment, pulling your focus away from catastrophic thoughts. 1. 5-4-3-2-1 method. 5. Name 5 things you can see. 4. Name 4 things you can touch. 3. Name 3 things you can hear. 2. Name 2 things you can smell. 1. Name 1 thing you can taste. This simple exercise brings your attention to the present and interrupts spiraling anxiety. 2. Physical grounding. Press your feet firmly into the floor. Clench and release your fists. Stretch or move your shoulders and neck. These movements send a signal to your brain that you are in control of your body, reducing fear's grip. Mindfulness for fear. Mindfulness is the practice of observing your thoughts and sensations without judgment. When fear arises, notice it. Label the sensation. I feel fear in my chest and throat. Breathe into it. Use any of the breathing techniques above. Observe, don't react. Allow the fear to exist without letting it dictate your actions. With practice, mindfulness teaches you that fear is temporary, a passing wave rather than a permanent state. Story: Marcus and the high-stakes presentation. Marcus, a finance executive, was terrified of giving a quarterly presentation. His heart would race, palms sweat, and thoughts spiral, I'll mess up. They'll judge me. Marcus began practicing box breathing and grounding exercises in the days leading up to the presentation. On the day of the event, when fear hit, he focused on his breath and the feeling of his feet on the floor. Instead of freezing, Marcus delivered the presentation calmly and confidently. His fear didn't vanish, but his body no longer controlled him. He had learned to breathe through fear, turning panic into performance. Reflection exercise: calming the body. Identify a situation that triggers fear for you. Sit quietly, feet on the floor, and place one hand on your chest, the other on your belly. Choose one breathing technique, box, diaphragmatic, or 4-7-8, and practice for 5 minutes. Notice how your body feels afterward. Reflect in your journal: how did calming my body affect my thoughts? Could I approach the fear differently next time? Daily practice: fear reset. To strengthen your nervous system and make fear easier to manage, practice diaphragmatic breathing for 5 minutes each morning. Use grounding techniques whenever you feel stress building. Reflect nightly on moments when you noticed fear and how your body responded. Over time, these practices build resilience, making it easier to face fear proactively instead of reactively. Key takeaways from Chapter 7. Fear manifests in the body: racing heart, shallow breath, tense muscles. Activating the parasympathetic nervous system helps calm fear. Breathing exercises, grounding, and mindfulness are practical tools to regain control. The body can become your ally, not your enemy, in facing fear. Consistent practice strengthens your ability to remain calm and act with courage. In the next chapter, we'll explore gradual exposure and small-step action, how to take tangible steps toward confronting fears so they lose power over time. Chapter 8. Exposure and small steps. One of the most effective ways to conquer fear is facing it gradually. Avoidance reinforces fear, but intentional, repeated exposure weakens it. This approach is called exposure therapy in psychology, and it works for fears of all sizes, from public speaking to social anxiety, from heights to career risks. The principle is simple: the more you safely face fear, the less power it has over you. But the key is small, deliberate steps, not overwhelming yourself all at once. Why avoidance strengthens fear. When you avoid fear-inducing situations, your brain interprets the avoidance as proof that the situation is dangerous. For example, you fear networking events. You skip one. Relief follows. Your brain thinks avoiding works. The danger is real. Next time, fear grows stronger. Avoidance trains your brain to see harmless situations as threats. Avoidance feels safe in the short term, but it traps you in a shrinking world, limiting opportunities, experiences, and growth. The power of gradual exposure. Gradual exposure works by retraining the brain. Each time you face a fear and nothing catastrophic happens, your amygdala receives new information: this is safe. I can handle it. Over time, your fear decreases and confidence grows. The process also teaches you that discomfort is temporary and manageable, not a signal of danger. How to apply exposure in real life. Step 1. Identify your fear. Be specific. Instead of saying, "I'm afraid of public speaking," break it down. Speaking in a small team meeting. Speaking to a group of 10 colleagues. Presenting to a large audience. Smaller fears are easier to tackle first, creating a foundation for bigger challenges. Step 2. Rank the fear in levels. Create a fear hierarchy. Rank situations from least to most frightening, 1 to 10. For example, this helps you progress gradually, building confidence and reducing overwhelm. Step 3. Take microsteps. Start with the lowest level. Face the fear intentionally and fully, observing your thoughts, emotions, and body sensations. If your fear is social, initiate a small conversation. If your fear is heights, stand on a low balcony first. If your fear is trying a new skill, practice in private before showing others. Repeat each step until fear diminishes, then move to the next level. Step 4. Reflect and reinforce. After each exposure, write down: what happened? What did I feel in my body? What thoughts came up? Did anything bad actually happen? Recognizing that the worst-case scenario didn't occur reinforces your brain's new learning: fear is manageable. Story: Rachel and her first speaking engagement. Rachel was terrified of public speaking. Her heart would race, her palms sweat, and her mind would spiral with "I'll mess up." She decided to start small. First, she spoke in front of her mirror. Then she practiced with a close friend. Next, she presented to a small team meeting. Each step built confidence. After a few months of gradual exposure, Rachel delivered a presentation to a company-wide audience. Her heart raced, but fear no longer controlled her. She learned that incremental steps create lasting change. Reflection exercise: building your fear hierarchy. Identify one fear you want to confront. Break it down into smaller, actionable steps, 3 to 10 levels. Rank each step from least to most scary. Commit to practicing the lowest step this week. Journal your experience and note progress. Tips for successful exposure. Start small, don't jump to the scariest scenario. Micro steps work best. Repeat consistently. Exposure is about repetition, not one-time bravery. Track your progress. Celebrate small wins to reinforce courage. Combine with breathing and grounding. Calm your body while facing fear. Be patient. Fear diminishes gradually, not instantly. Key takeaways from Chapter 8. Avoidance strengthens fear, exposure weakens it. Gradual exposure retrains your brain to see feared situations as safe. Break big fears into small, manageable steps. Consistent practice, reflection, and journaling reinforce progress. Exposure works for any fear, social, professional, or personal, when approached deliberately. In the next chapter, we'll explore rewiring the brain through mental rehearsal, visualization, and habit change, giving you tools to make courage automatic. Chapter 9: Rewiring the Brain. Fear is a habit, and like all habits, it can be changed. Your brain is not fixed, it's neuroplastic, which means it can form new connections and pathways. This is great news. It means that even long-standing fears can be rewired into courage, confidence, and resilience. Through intentional mental and behavioral practices, you can train your mind to respond differently to fear. You can replace automatic avoidance with deliberate, empowered action. The science of neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change based on experience. Every time you think, feel, or act, your brain strengthens certain neural pathways. Avoidance strengthens the fear pathway, making fear automatic. Repeated exposure and positive reinforcement create a courage pathway, making bravery more natural over time. The more you practice courage, the easier it becomes. Fear doesn't disappear, it becomes manageable, and action becomes your default response. Mental rehearsal. Mental rehearsal is a powerful tool for rewiring your brain. Athletes, performers, and leaders use it to prepare for high-pressure situations. How it works. Close your eyes and vividly imagine facing a feared situation. Picture every detail, sights, sounds, feelings. See yourself responding calmly, confidently, and successfully. Repeat this practice regularly. By imagining success, you are priming your brain. Your nervous system begins to recognize the scenario as safe, reducing fear when you encounter it in real life. Visualization techniques. Visualization can be combined with exposure for maximum impact. Scenario visualization. Imagine the exact situation that triggers fear, and visualize yourself handling it well. Outcome visualization. Picture the positive outcome after taking action, giving the presentation, confronting a difficult conversation, or taking a risk. Process visualization. Focus on the step-by-step actions you will take rather than just the end result. This builds confidence and reduces overwhelm. Habit change, small daily practices. Courage is reinforced through consistent habits. These habits train your brain to respond differently to fear over time. Daily habits for rewiring fear. Micro-exposure. Take one small action each day toward a fear you want to overcome. Fear journaling. Write down fears, limiting beliefs, and empowering reframes. Affirmations. Repeat statements that reinforce courage and self-efficacy. Mindfulness practice. Observe fear without judgment, reducing its automatic control. Gratitude and reflection. Celebrate small wins to strengthen the brain's reward system. Each small habit compounds, gradually reshaping your brain's response to fear. Story: Javier and his public speaking transformation. Javier, a marketing manager, had avoided speaking in meetings for years. His fear was so ingrained that he physically froze whenever asked to present. He began a structured approach. Mental rehearsal. Visualized speaking calmly in a small team meeting. Micro-exposure. Practice speaking to a trusted colleague. Daily affirmation, repeated, I am capable. I grow stronger each time I act. Over 6 months, Javier's fear pathway weakened, and his courage pathway strengthened. Eventually, he delivered a department-wide presentation confidently. His brain had learned a new habit: action despite fear. Reflection exercise, mental rehearsal practice. Identify a fear or upcoming challenge. Close your eyes and imagine the situation in detail. Picture yourself acting calmly and effectively. Replay this visualization daily for at least 1 week. After each real-life encounter, reflect in your journal: how did mental rehearsal influence my response? Combining visualization with exposure. The combination of mental rehearsal and gradual exposure is powerful. Visualize success before taking action. Start with micro steps in real life. Reflect and reinforce progress. This creates a feedback loop. The brain practices courage mentally, experiences it in reality, and strengthens the neural pathways that support bravery. Key takeaways from Chapter 9. Fear is a habit, and habits can be rewired through neuroplasticity. Mental rehearsal and visualization prime the brain for confident action. Small, consistent daily habits reinforce courage over time. Combining visualization with gradual exposure accelerates transformation. Over time, your brain learns that action is safer than avoidance, and fear becomes manageable. In the next chapter, we'll explore building a supportive environment and community, showing how relationships, accountability, and mentorship amplify courage and make fear easier to confront. Chapter 10. Building your courage network. Fear thrives in isolation. When you face challenges alone, doubts multiply and the mind exaggerates risks. One of the most powerful ways to conquer fear is to surround yourself with people who support, challenge, and inspire you. A strong network can provide guidance, encouragement, accountability, and perspective. Courage is contagious. When others model bravery and growth, it reinforces your own belief that fear can be faced and overcome. Why community matters. Humans are wired for connection. Our brains mirror the emotions of those around us. This means witnessing courage in others can inspire action in yourself. Having accountability reduces avoidance and increases follow-through. Supportive feedback helps you reframe fear and learn from setbacks. In contrast, negative or judgmental environments amplify fear. Unsupportive peers, toxic relationships, or constant criticism can reinforce limiting beliefs and make fear feel insurmountable. Types of supportive people. When building your courage network, consider these types of relationships. Mentors and coaches, people who have faced similar fears and can guide you with wisdom. Peers and accountability partners, friends or colleagues who encourage you to take action and hold you accountable. Inspirational figures, individuals who model courage, whether through books, podcasts, or social media. Safe confidants, friends or family members who listen without judgment and provide emotional support. The key is balance. You need both guidance and encouragement, along with people who challenge you to grow. Story: Sam and the Supportive Circle. Sam, a software developer, had always wanted to present at conferences but felt paralyzed by fear. On his own, he procrastinated for years. He decided to build a small support network. A mentor who had presented globally helped him practice and gave constructive feedback. A colleague agreed to attend his practice sessions for accountability. A friend provided encouragement and celebrated small wins. With this network, Sam gradually built confidence. The fear didn't vanish, but he felt supported and capable. Months later, he delivered his first conference talk successfully. Creating your courage network. Step 1. Identify your needs. Ask yourself, where do I need guidance? Who can hold me accountable? Who inspires me to act despite fear? Write down a list of people who fit these roles. Step 2. Reach out. Send a message, ask for advice, or propose a small accountability partnership. Be clear about your goals and how they can support you. Step 3. Engage consistently. Schedule regular check-ins, practice sessions, or discussions. Share your wins and challenges openly. Celebrate progress together. Step 4. Curate your environment. Reduce exposure to negative or fear-amplifying influences. Seek communities, online or in person, that model courage and growth. Reflection exercise, mapping your courage network. Draw a circle and list people who currently influence your courage and fear. Identify gaps, areas where you need mentorship, accountability, or inspiration. Plan one concrete step to expand or strengthen your network this week. The role of accountability. Accountability is a form of external motivation that reduces avoidance. Knowing someone else is tracking your progress can push you to face fear when you might otherwise retreat. Pair accountability with micro-actions from Chapter 8 for maximum impact. Story: Maya and the Accountability Buddy. Maya, an aspiring entrepreneur, feared pitching her ideas to investors. She found an accountability buddy, a fellow entrepreneur also working on presentations. They committed to weekly practice sessions. Even on days Maya felt paralyzed by fear, the accountability partnership pushed her to rehearse. Within weeks, her confidence grew, and she successfully pitched her business. Fear was still present, but support made action possible. Key takeaways from Chapter 10. Fear is harder to face alone. Supportive relationships amplify courage. Surround yourself with mentors, peers, safe confidants, and inspirational figures. Accountability reduces avoidance and strengthens follow-through. Curate your environment. Minimize exposure to fear-amplifying influences. Courage grows in community as much as within yourself. In the next chapter, we'll explore resilience and bouncing back from setbacks, teaching how to maintain courage even after failure or disappointment. Chapter 11: Resilience, Bouncing Back from Setbacks. Facing fear doesn't mean never failing. In fact, failure is an inevitable part of growth. The difference between those who let fear control them and those who thrive is resilience, the ability to recover, learn, and keep moving forward after setbacks. Resilience doesn't make fear disappear. Instead, it gives you the strength to act despite fear, knowing that mistakes and challenges are part of the journey. Understanding resilience. Resilience is a combination of mindset, habits, and support systems. Resilient people view setbacks as temporary, not permanent. Separate their self-worth from outcomes. Focus on solutions rather than dwelling on problems. Learn from experience instead of being defined by it. The good news: resilience is a skill you can develop just like courage. The role of mindset. Your mindset determines how you respond to challenges. People with a fixed mindset see setbacks as evidence of failure. I failed, so I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed. People with a growth mindset see setbacks as opportunities to learn and improve. This didn't go as planned, but I can adjust and try again. Mistakes are feedback, not defeat. Shifting to a growth mindset strengthens resilience and reduces fear's power. Story: Liam and the Failed Pitch. Liam, a young entrepreneur, spent months preparing a pitch to investors. On presentation day, technical difficulties and nerves led to a disappointing outcome. Initially, he felt crushed. Fear whispered, "You're not cut out for this." Instead of giving up, Liam reflected on what went wrong. He practiced more, under simulated pressure. He improved his slides and narrative. He sought advice from mentors. Months later, he pitched successfully to another group. His resilience had turned failure into growth, and fear no longer paralyzed him. Strategies for building resilience. 1. Reframe setbacks. After a setback, ask, "What can I learn from this experience? What small step can I take next? How can I adjust my approach without giving up? Reframing shifts focus from blame and fear to growth and action. 2. Practice self-compassion. Treat yourself as you would a friend. Fear and setbacks are universal. Self-criticism amplifies fear, self-compassion reduces it. Replace, "I'm such a failure," with "I tried my best and I can learn from this." 3. Develop a recovery routine. Having a plan for bouncing back strengthens resilience. Pause and breathe. Reflect on lessons learned. Take one small corrective action. Seek support if needed. 4. Celebrate small wins. Resilience grows when progress is recognized. Each time you face fear or recover from a setback, acknowledge it. Small wins compound over time, boosting confidence and courage. Reflection exercise, setback reflection. Recall a recent situation where fear or failure held you back. Ask yourself, what did I learn from this experience? What can I do differently next time? How can I be kinder to myself in this moment? Write down one actionable step to move forward. Story: Amira and rebuilding confidence. Amira, a teacher, failed her first attempt at a certification exam. Fear of repeating the experience made her consider giving up. She implemented a resilience plan. Studied in smaller, consistent sessions. Practiced self-affirmations: "I am capable and prepared." Sought a study group for accountability and support. The second attempt was successful. By framing failure as a learning experience, Amira strengthened both her knowledge and her courage. Key takeaways from Chapter 11. Resilience is the ability to recover and grow from setbacks. It is essential for sustained courage. A growth mindset transforms fear and failure into opportunities for learning. Self-compassion and supportive networks strengthen your ability to bounce back. Reflection and small corrective actions turn setbacks into forward momentum. Celebrating progress, no matter how small, reinforces courage and reduces fear over time. In the next chapter, we'll explore integrating all the tools and strategies from this book into a daily practice of courage, helping you maintain confidence, manage fear, and continue growing throughout life. Chapter 12: Daily Practices for a Fearless Life. Conquering fear is not a one-time achievement, it's a daily practice. The habits, tools, and strategies we've explored in previous chapters become most powerful when integrated into your everyday life. By creating a consistent routine that strengthens courage, manages fear, and reinforces resilience, you turn what once felt overwhelming into something habitual and manageable. The pillars of a daily courage practice. Your daily practice should focus on 5 interconnected pillars. Awareness: recognizing fear when it arises. Mind-body regulation: using breathing, grounding, and mindfulness to manage fear physically. Cognitive reframing: identifying limiting beliefs and replacing them with empowering narratives. Action: taking small deliberate steps toward fears. Reflection and reinforcement: journaling wins, lessons, and progress to strengthen courage pathways. Structuring your daily practice. Here's a sample framework you can adapt to your own life. Morning routine: set the tone. Mindfulness or meditation, 5 to 10 minutes. Begin your day observing thoughts and setting intentions. Affirmations: repeat empowering statements like, "I face fear with courage and curiosity." Visualization, 2 to 5 minutes. Mentally rehearse challenges you may face today and visualize handling them confidently. During the day, engage with fear. Microaction: take at least one small step toward a fear or challenge. Awareness check-ins: pause during stressful moments and ask, is this fear or anxiety? How am I responding? Breathing and grounding: use techniques from Chapter 7 whenever fear or anxiety arises. Evening routine: reflect and reinforce. Journaling: write about moments of fear, actions taken, and insights gained. Gratitude and wins. Record at least 3 accomplishments, no matter how small. Plan tomorrow's courage. Identify one deliberate action toward a fear for the next day. Story: Alina's daily courage habit. Elena, a young entrepreneur, struggled with fear of rejection when pitching clients. She created a daily practice. Morning: 10 minutes of visualization, imagining confident meetings. During the day, sent at least one pitch or follow-up email regardless of nerves. Evening: reflected on successes and lessons learned, then planned the next step. After 3 months, Elena noticed that her anxiety about pitching had dropped dramatically. Taking small, consistent actions, paired with reflection and mindset work, transformed her fear into confidence. Tips for consistency. Start small. Even 10 to 15 minutes of intentional practice each day compounds over time. Stack habits. Pair courage practices with existing routines like morning coffee or evening reading. Track progress. Keep a journal or habit tracker to visualize your growth. Celebrate wins. Recognize small victories, they reinforce the courage pathway in your brain. Adapt and adjust. Your practice should evolve with your goals and challenges. Reflection exercise. Designing your daily courage practice. List the 5 pillars: awareness, mind-body regulation, cognitive reframing, action, reflection. For each pillar, write one activity you will do daily. Set a realistic schedule: morning, day, evening. Commit to following it for 7 days, and note changes in your fear response and confidence. The long-term impact. Daily courage practice turns fear from a barrier into a guide. It creates a life where challenges become opportunities. Setbacks are temporary and instructive. Growth and confidence are built habitually. Over time, fear no longer dictates your choices, it informs them. You act intentionally, grounded in awareness, resilience, and courage. Key takeaways from Chapter 12. Fear is best managed through daily intentional practice. Integrating mind, body, and action strengthens courage. Reflection, journaling, and gratitude reinforce learning and progress. Small, consistent steps create long-term change. Daily courage practice transforms fear from a barrier into a guide for growth. With this chapter, readers now have a complete system: understanding fear, building awareness, rewiring beliefs, taking action, calming the body, building community, and practicing courage daily. The next chapter will serve as the conclusion, summarizing key lessons and offering inspiration for the ongoing journey of fear mastery. Chapter 13. The journey continues. Congratulations! By reading this book and engaging with the exercises, reflections, and strategies, you've taken significant steps toward conquering your fears. But the journey doesn't end here. Courage is not a destination, it's a practice, a lifelong companion that grows as you show up, take action, and embrace discomfort. Fear will always appear in new forms. Life is unpredictable. But the tools, habits, and mindset you've cultivated give you lasting resilience, the ability to act despite fear, and the freedom to pursue your goals with clarity and confidence. The core principles of fear mastery. Let's summarize the key lessons from the book. Awareness is power. Recognizing fear and distinguishing it from anxiety is the first step. Fear is temporary. Courage is action. You don't need to eliminate fear, you need to move forward despite it. Stories shape reality. Limiting beliefs create fear. Empowering narratives cultivate courage. Body and mind work together. Breathing, grounding, and mindfulness give immediate control over fear's physical and mental effects. Small steps build big change. Gradual exposure rewires the brain and strengthens courage. Resilience reinforces growth. Setbacks are part of learning. Recovery and reflection turn fear into opportunity. Community amplifies courage. Mentors, peers, and accountability partners make fear easier to confront. Daily practice solidifies change. Consistent habits transform fear from a barrier into a guide. Living a fear-conscious life. Living fear consciously doesn't mean you'll never feel nervous, anxious, or uncertain. It means you Notice fear without judgment. Understand its purpose. Take deliberate action aligned with your goals. Reflect, learn, and adjust continually. Each encounter with fear becomes an opportunity to practice courage, refine your mindset, and strengthen your resilience. Story: The Transformative Ripple. Consider Sophia, a young teacher who struggled with fear of speaking up in staff meetings. By practicing awareness, visualization, micro-actions, and journaling, she gradually gained confidence. Soon she led workshops, mentored colleagues, and inspired her students. Sophia's transformation wasn't just personal, it rippled outward. Her courage encouraged others to step forward, creating a culture of bravery and growth. Fearmaster doesn't just benefit you, it empowers those around you. Your Courage Toolbox. By now, you have a complete toolbox to confront fear. Awareness: recognize fear and anxiety patterns. Reframing: challenge limiting beliefs and rewrite stories. Breathing and grounding: calm the body and mind in the moment. Visualization and mental rehearsal: prepare your brain for success. Gradual exposure: take small steps toward your fears. Resilience: recover and learn from setbacks. Community and accountability: leverage support and inspiration. Daily practice: integrate courage into your life consistently. Use these tools daily. Adjust, refine, and expand them as your life evolves. Reflection exercise: your next 30 days. Choose one fear to focus on in the next 30 days. Break it into small, manageable steps. Integrate daily practices: awareness, breathing, visualization, and action. Journal progress, wins, and lessons each day. Celebrate growth, no matter how small. By the end of 30 days, you'll notice a shift, not just in fear, but in confidence, resilience, and clarity. Epilogue: The Lifelong Journey of Courage. As you close this book, know that the work of conquering fear doesn't end here. What you've learned is not a temporary fix. It's a foundation, a set of tools, habits, and mindsets that you can carry with you for the rest of your life. Fear is a constant companion. It will appear in new forms, in new challenges, and at unexpected moments. And yet, each encounter with fear is also an opportunity, an invitation to practice courage, resilience, and self-belief. Courage as a way of life. Think of courage not as a single act, but as a way of living. It is cultivated in the small choices you make daily, the willingness to step forward even when uncertain, the patience to recover from setbacks, the humility to seek guidance and support. Courage is cumulative. Each time you act in spite of fear, you reinforce the pathways in your brain that make bravery more natural, more instinctive, more you. The ripple effect. Your courage doesn't just affect you, it inspires others. By confronting fear, you model resilience for your friends, family, colleagues, and community. Every act of bravery creates ripples that reach further than you can see. Remember Sophia from Chapter 12, or Elena, Sam, and others in these stories. Their courage didn't only transform their own lives, it influenced those around them. Your journey can do the same. Embrace the unknown. Fear often signals the unknown, and growth lives in the unknown. Rather than wishing fear away, lean into it. Explore the edges of your comfort zone. Take the micro steps that expand your confidence. Experiment, fail, learn, and rise again. By embracing uncertainty with awareness and intention, you transform fear into a guide rather than a barrier. Your next chapter. This book is a map, not the destination. The next chapters of your life, professional, personal, emotional, are waiting. With the awareness, tools, and habits you've cultivated, you can face challenges with clarity and calm. Take bold action aligned with your values. Recover gracefully from setbacks. Grow continuously, regardless of circumstances. Final words of encouragement. Fear is not the enemy. Fear is a signal, a guide, and an invitation to grow. Every time you act in spite of fear, you build a stronger, more confident self. Courage is not about perfection, it's about showing up, learning, and moving forward. The journey of conquering your fears is ongoing. There will be challenges, surprises, and moments of doubt. But with the knowledge, practices, and mindset from this book, you are equipped to face whatever comes with clarity, courage, and resilience. Remember, the only true failure is giving up. Keep stepping forward. Keep practicing courage. Fear may knock, but you now have the tools to answer, boldly, calmly, and consistently. The journey continues. Fear is temporary. Courage is your choice. Take it daily.